We are building a selfish generation of people who only consume things with themselves in mind. We're back, people, and we're on the phone. This is going to be a short one. This is kind of based on a lot of content that I've seen recently. And I wanted to share. Creators today tell us we need to teach someone something to keep them for the long run. Well, and that your value first comes from giving them something first before they express any interest in you and like your vlog style content or just you as a person, right? You are building a selfish generation of people who only consume things with themselves in mind. Whilst I understand that it's important to consume things of value, darling, and things that benefit yourself, I do not condone this notion of only if it serves me or only if it teaches me something. Think of the countless preachers, influencers, creators, whatever it is that we listen to just so we can get something for ourselves. We're looking for our own character, something to feed ourselves. I mean, this has been like all over the media in general. We don't even look at the character of God first when we look in these sermons. And this is, of course, not to exclusively put everybody in this box, but I'm trying to, again, highlight a very selfish problem in our generation. And then being a creator in general, I shouldn't feel the need to teach you something for you to watch me. Your main voices and teachers in your life should be the ones that are proximal to you, the ones that you can walk with, like the way that the disciples walked with each other together, not online. I find it scary that we've built these online friends and sisters that are necessary but not replaceable for the in-person community that we're supposed to have, that Jesus called us to have. It's supposed to be people you actively walk with, not people that you think you know about, based on what you've seen online, but you can actually barely discern the fruits of their life. Granted, we don't all have the same intimate access to people, which is why these spaces are very necessary, right? Creators are lacking creativity now. Instead of sharing content that you love, bro, you're sharing something for the sake of the algorithm. You're no longer sharing the content out of your heart, your God-given gift of sharing, of how to share. Because not just sharing, it's how to share. You've been given the God-given gift of how to share. But instead it's to gain traction, to be people pleaser. And this is a hard thing to get past. Me too. I have my people pleaser tendencies. But it's like when this clicked in my brain, I was like, yo, this is crazy. I think the issue is that it's more of a subconscious situation where people do not know that this is happening to them. It was the same for me, where it was subconscious, and I think the consensus was that this is very subconscious, this is very ignorant. You just didn't see it because you were so consumed by the idea that you thought this was right, like it felt right for a moment, and then later it started not to feel right. And I think there's that just shows the level of consistency and longevity of it feeling right can only come from God. And when I say feeling right, I mean like the consistency of your content being produced in a way that fills your spirit and doesn't drain it, basically, can only come from the spirit, rather than these stopping and startings, which is, where I would just have these constant fluctuations of I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this. And it's like, why? Because it's not rooted. Why? Because it's to gain traction. Why? It's because you're doing it to be a people pleaser. Why? Because your content is no longer sharing like the God-given gift, sharing it the way he wants you to share it, but sharing it the way that the media has said is correct, the way the media has said will get you views, or the algorithm says will work, or the way people have just been designed to like want so much more. Like, some of you actually need to stop listening to your comments. Like, I believe we're here to serve an audience, but you serve God first. So every audience request must be brought to the throne of God first before you now go and make a video just because somebody said, I want this. It's like, that's how you end up serving people before you serve God. Let me get back to my notes so that this comes together. Anywho, what I'm trying to say is that you don't need to directly learn from somebody to engage with their content. And I think that is such a trap to put creators in. It's not nice to make someone always feel like they need to teach you something for you to stay. We need to broaden our mindsets of how we can be served, okay? Must you always be taught something explicitly, directly? What if service is the laughter that it brings? What if service is the joy that it brings? What if service is the peace in a busy day that it brings? That is a service, but it's not a direct form of teaching, right? So a perfect example for me is Josh and Sab.
What is up, Sauce Squad? We are back with another video, and today, what are we doing today, baby girl? What is up, Sauce Squad? We are back with another video, and today, Sauce Squad, as you guys can tell, we are in our jacuzzi. What is up, Sauce Squad? We are back with another video, and today, what are we doing today, baby girl?
I don't learn anything directly from Josh and Sab, but I've been watching them for 4 years religiously. Probably almost every video, relatively speaking. I mean, recently I've learned more about how I actually desire to be a responsive mother, and the same for my partner, because of the way that Josh and Sab treat their 3 young children. I've just been gawking at it. I've been like, wow, you guys are so responsive. Anyway, that's a whole other thing, but like, I've learned that but that's just through them like living their life. Do you know what I mean? I don't directly learn from them. I enjoy their nature. I enjoy being able to see a fun Christian couple, married couple, very young. They got married at 23, I think. I'm 23 in 2 weeks. Anyway, I think I started watching them because they were showing the fun side of being in a Christian marriage, which I think there was a gap in the market at the time when I started watching them, which was lockdown. I think I was yearning for something more than just like Christian couples feeling the need to come and talk about God and the Bible and this and that, when it's like that is just not realistic of your everyday life as a Christian person in a marriage. I've even heard people say things like they don't talk about their faith enough, or that they don't talk about it as much as they used to, and I feel like people are just too needy. It's not their niche. There's people for that. There's so many people on the internet, and you're now being greedy. Yeah, it's just not their content, and I think we just need to stop being selfish and wanting everything from everybody. I'll give you an example of somebody who has actively transitioned out of doing things for the sake of like other people solely. Kelly Stamps.
I gripped you and stole your hearts in the past few months. Over 400,000 something hearts.
I jumped on her last year, man. She, funny enough, it was actually because I wanted to grow my channel, and I saw that she had literally grown to over 700k, and her engagement was insane. So I was like, bro, I need to learn from this woman. So it was, for me, I was even trying to come and grab my gem and maybe go, but then she hooked me in. She soon became a millionaire after giving people all of these like advice in a quirky way, because her advice was like interesting because of her personality. It was the way that she delivered it, right? And then she stopped. Well, many may know that she now has an alternative channel called Senpai Stamps. It's basically a place where she wants to be herself, talk about her faith, and just show the life that she's lived. Like, basically show the life that is the fruit of her labor. So the fruit of her labor that she received from working on Kelly Stamps for all those years, she's now just like living that out. She wants to show her life living it out. Over her whole channel and like her blowing up and everything, people slandered her, they cancelled her, they didn't want her to talk about Jesus when she was like, you know, getting more serious and everything. They would say like, no, not your content. It's just not what they wanted. But it's like, what about what she wants? It's her channel. My friend, this is how you become a slave to the game. But she didn't. She said, no, not anymore. You're not doing this to me. She saw that people were using her. Now look at her now. She's like building this smaller but tight-knit and interested community of people on Senpai Stamps who actually care about her. And I feel like I can see from a wider lens, because I'm not in her life, how much joy it must bring somebody to, you know, step away from a very large audience that brought you so much money, that made you literally able to quit your job. And like, because she literally said that she worked part-time YouTube, as in she didn't work 4 days a week, and she was getting full-time money. That is a dream for most people, right? But to have that at the expense of even creating something you want, like you even stop being interested in your own channel, your own work, and you always know that whatever you do is going to be judged by the people in the comments, because they're not your friends. They're simply there to take something from you, because the content that you began to create in the beginning was always for the sake of, oh, let them go and like create their own channel, right? So they're only there for themselves. But when you now create this whole community of people, even though it's smaller, it's more intimate, people who actually like love you and are interested in your life and are not hating on you. That must be gold. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, don't be warped by people. Don't be warped by the selfishness of mankind. Okay? I found myself thinking of content ideas that solely benefited people. And I said, no, we're not doing that anymore. No. Honestly, I just got so bored and drained. Most of the content that I share teaches people because of just the way I am and how he deposits things within me to share naturally, I guess. But it should never be forced, because then your words means nothing. Like Proverbs talks about fools being people who talk too much, and it's like, you talk at the appointed time. You talk when you have something to say. When you don't have something to say, you shouldn't talk. And that can be interpreted in many different ways. I'm probably going to leave that there. But regurgitating something somebody else has already said just for the sake of knowing that it will get views and help people out is not necessary. And again, that may not always be easy to discern, because there is just naturally nothing new under the sun. So some people may genuinely regurgitate things, or like, well, not regurgitate things. You shouldn't regurgitate things. You should say things in your own way, because you have your own mouth and the Holy Spirit speaks to you in his own way. So you will not be regurgitating naturally anyways. I think it's building a generation of people who are creating their lives around other people's lives, which is really bad. Creating our lives around other people's ideas of growth and success, which is just horrible to be in. And it's a gospel that people have made in their hearts, and we need to stop that. So what is the prompt of this video? What is the reason Angela has come to speak with this mic and 2 clips in her hair? Because she doesn't want the curl to drop. The problem is to highlight this hidden lie, because a lot of us don't realize that we look only at people to see ourselves in them, or to see what we can get from them, and that's the only basis of the reason why we value them, because of what we can get from them. And the reason this is a problem is because if we do it online, oh, most definitely it can creep into our offline life and the people that are closest to us, which is horrible. What we don't want is to build a shallow community of people who are only interested in the product of what somebody can give them rather than the person itself.